It is my honor to introduce our speaker for this session, Carlos Morales. He is a partner in Deloitte, Netherlands. He's the founder and sponsoring partner of AI4Animals, a groundbreaking initiative that uses computer vision to reduce unnecessary suffering and stress in slaughterhouses. It was developed in close collaboration with leaders in the meat sector, academia, and welfare NGOs. AI4Animals is currently operational in 20+ slaughterhouses across Europe. And today, Carlos will be sharing insights and key learnings from this pioneering project, demonstrating how AI can drive positive change.
So my name is Carlos Morales. I'm a partner in consulting. I have a few responsibilities, and one is, as already said, I'm the founder and sponsoring partner for something we call AI4Animals. It's Deloitte's computer vision platform to monitor how animals are handled in slaughterhouses. This is how it started. I think 7 years ago, this group of people that look very similar but have a very diverse background came together at the city of Apeldoorn, where one of the locations of Vion Food, which is one of the major meat producers in Western Europe, has a slaughterhouse. And in this group, you see people from the leading animal welfare organization, the Dierenbescherming. There's a group represented called Eyes on Animals, which is more of an activist animal rights organization. Amazing group of people. If you haven't heard of them, go check them out. Eyes on Animals and their leader, Leslie Mulfand. There are people there from our AI team, some AI developers that joined the team. You can see me there. It was my first visit at the slaughterhouse. I still looked a little bit distressed, but this group of people came together to answer basically one question, and the question was: can AI, can computer vision, can innovative technology significantly, not a little bit, but significantly improve the effectiveness of camera surveillance in slaughterhouses? And the reason why we wanted to test and answer that question is because we felt that there is room to further reduce avoidable and unnecessary animal stress and suffering. The slaughter process is a process that intrinsically inflicts stress and suffering on animals, as you can imagine. And we felt like, is there an option, is there a way to significantly better monitor those animals in their last hours of their lives? And we do this together with organizations that we feel are committed. So if we feel there's an intrinsic motivation to do better, we're more than happy to collaborate. So if you're sitting in the room, if you're looking at this online and you feel there is an opportunity to collaborate, whether you're an NGO or whether you're from academia or you're a private company or a governmental organization, do not hesitate to reach out to me. This is the result of collaboration amongst a wide range of organizations. Now, when we went live with the pilot that we did at the slaughterhouse in Apeldoorn, we put out a press release out there for people to understand that we were doing this. And it immediately caught the attention from a wide range of news media and outlets. From an animal rights organization called Varkens en Nood, up to a sector magazine called Pig Business, national newspapers in the Netherlands, but also out there. And maybe a little bit to our surprise, every single one of them says, this is a good thing. This is a positive development. And that was something we were not sure, if that would be the result of us putting out this message. Now, before we talk you through what it is, I want to show you a little video that we put together to just explain to you what the basics are. In the video, you will see this animal rights organization called Eyes on Animals and a representative of the meat industry and how it all came together to, once again, reduce avoidable and unnecessary suffering and stress.
Most of our pigs, they never go outside on some factory farms. They have nothing to do. They've got barely any space. They can't even move. Here on this farm, they're all raised outdoors. They get to wallow and forage. They get to behave like pigs.
In 2019, we had a brainstorm on how we can use AI technology to significantly reduce avoidable animal suffering. And a logical place to start were slaughterhouses, because they already have surveillance cameras. And we thought, why not use AI to make these traditional surveillance cameras into smart surveillance cameras?
When I first heard from Deloitte that they were interested in starting an artificial intelligence camera system for slaughterhouses, I thought, this is terrific. Finally, it's more than just small NGOs that want to make a real difference for farm animal welfare during slaughter.
We trained the algorithms from scratch. So we first had to teach the algorithms what is a pig, what is a person, what is a stunner. That was the technical part. That's what we do as Deloitte. Then there's a second part, and that's when is a risk situation in terms of animal welfare. And that's why we really work closely together with the Dierenbescherming, Farming, Eyes on Animals, and Vion. They were a big part of taking this from ideation to production in now over 20 slaughterhouses across multiple countries.
We produce pork meat and beef, and we export worldwide. We have several slaughter locations in the Netherlands, Belgium, and Germany. And more than 10 years ago, we installed already the cameras, and that resulted per day in hundreds of hours of footage. So we were looking at 30 minutes in total of footage. And because it was randomly, there was a big chance to miss relevant issues. And with the use of the AI, the footage is sent to the server. We train the algorithms to make a selection of footage of abnormalities, of deviations. Potential deviations are put in the dashboard. And the next day, my quality assurance colleagues, they see only relevant footage.
We've got quite a good rapport with several slaughterhouses that allow us to come in and also look at their images. And now I don't have to spend 20 hours looking at images. I can go there and just see what's been filtered out by the AI system and give my advice to the slaughterhouse.
If one animal of the group is behind, because it's curious, because it's lame, because it's stressed, the footage is selected. And we monitor if the way of working is according to procedures. People need to take care directly for that individual animal. By using the selected footage, we can also train the staff involved. When people see their own actions at the TV screen, they have a perfect reflection on their work. And they see, okay, now I know how to improve my way of working. When we roll it out in all the Dutch locations, we discovered that the use of the pedal, a riddling, a sound-making device, resulted in more bottlenecks. It's a moment of stress for the animals. We stopped using the pedal, and it resulted in less bottlenecks, but also the environment is way less noisy.
They've actually changed their ways of working, and we see the decrease in number of bottlenecks over a year that resulted in. We're already seeing the impact of AI being applied to animal welfare, and the potential of that, I think, is huge. Our AI platform is built on AWS, and we use their latest innovations to really shorten the time to production, which in the beginning of AI4Animals took us about a year, and now it's a question of weeks.
I strongly recommend other slaughter companies worldwide to also start using this system, because then you can learn from each other.
So in summary, most slaughterhouses have cameras. These cameras on a daily basis generate hundreds of hours of video recordings. And on average, slaughterhouse personnel might randomly select half an hour, maybe 45 minutes, look at that and see whether something has happened that is worthwhile analyzing or reporting. As a result, vast majority of all the recordings remain unseen. And what you cannot see, you cannot use in order to improve and learn. So we developed AI4Animals that does two things. One, automatically out of those hundreds of hours of video recordings, automatically select all the videos that might contain something that is a deviation from the animal welfare protocol at the slaughterhouse. But it also generates all sorts of dashboards. So you can actually see how often something happens, whether there's a declining trend in terms of number of issues, severity of issues, how one slaughterhouse compares to another, if there's an opportunity to learn from each other. Now here you see a schematic comparison between two slaughterhouses. One uses traditional CCTV, the other one uses an AI-based camera surveillance, in this case AI4Animals. They're exactly the same. They're open from 6 o'clock in the morning till 6 o'clock in the evening. They have the same number of issues that happen at the same moment in time. However, one selects 30 minutes randomly to review if something happens. As a result, most of the video footage, most of the potential incidents will be overlooked. If you have something that automatically selects it, obviously you still will be looking only at a half hour of video footage, but it's a half hour consisting of only relevant material. Now, as you can imagine, a lot can go wrong at a slaughterhouse. It can be happening when the animals arrive, when the animals are going through the slaughterhouse, during stunning and during bleeding. And that's how animals die. So if you look at, for example, arrival, sometimes the animals arrive and they're lame, they are not able to walk, and therefore you need to address that problem there and then. Then on arrival, an animal might not have survived the transport to the slaughterhouse. That's also something you obviously want to know. The use of an emergency stunner, if the animal is not able to walk, it needs to be stunned there and then. Bottlenecks, as we already discussed, stressful human behavior. Counting animals, why is counting important? It's important to understand whether you have 100 issues on 10,000 animals or you have 100 issues on 50,000 animals. When you drive the animals through the slaughterhouse, the use of stimulators, prods, as they're called, paddles. Sometimes people use unknown devices in a particular way, unnecessary contact with animals, that causes stress. Obviously, you don't want to see any type of kicking, hitting, or dragging. Tail twisting, illegal in the Netherlands, should also not happen. Some of these videos we will show you in a second, including some videos around how the animal is stunned. Before it's bled to death, it needs to be stunned, and there's a particular way to do it. And you want to make sure that the animal is properly stunned. You don't want to see any signs of life reflexes, any gasping cornea reflexes or eye activity that indicate that the animal might still be alive or conscious, or issues in the stunning box, in particular when you're dealing with cows. And when the animal is bled, you want to make sure it bleds fast, because the faster it bleds, the sooner it dies, and therefore the chances of regaining consciousness are minimized. So I will show you this video. This video is video from actual slaughterhouses, and it contains also video from some of our clients that were generously enough to say, yes, if you want to share this with the general public, feel free to do so. For those who've been to a slaughterhouse, it might not contain a lot of surprises. For those who had never been to a slaughterhouse, it's not the worst that comes out of a slaughterhouse, but it can be sensitive. So I just want to let you know that you will be seeing images from real situations at slaughterhouses. Let me just start the video. My question to you is not to make any video recordings, any photos. If you want to have a conversation afterwards, more than happy to do so. Feel free to reach out. But at this point in time, I would like to ask to stop the recording. And in particular, Professor Dr. Rodenburg, who is a professor in animal welfare, did a scientific validation study on AI4Animals. I mean, obviously we can say it works, our clients can say it works, but we all felt the need that an independent organization like the Utrecht University would have a look at this to make sure that indeed it does what it says it does. And they came to the conclusion, yes, AI4Animals does provide a way to better monitor, smarter monitor how animals are handled in those last hours of their lives. And during the validation study, although there was not a objective, and they already started to see that this particular slaughterhouse started to make some changes in the way they use the prod in order to drive the animals through the slaughterhouse. So that was an interesting observation. One of the benefits of AI4Animals is that it captures data. So it's not just anecdotal, it's not just the personal observation of a person, it actually captures data and tells you how often something happens and whether or not it's a increasing trend or declining trend. Now, one of the problems that a particular slaughterhouse had, location B, was that they had a lot of congestions, a lot of bottlenecks. So too many animals in one area at the slaughterhouse. In particular, during unloading, you saw that there were too many animals. And then very often the employees started to use all sorts of devices, with a pedal or a prod, in order to move the animals into the slaughterhouse. And we came to the conclusion that is not working. That is not working. We also concluded, through analyzing full videos that captured this issue, that the truck drivers, who overall are not trained in welfare protocols, they tended to unload the animals in a uncoordinated way. So too many animals being rushed out of the truck. And as a result, too many bottlenecks, too much stress, too much use of pedals. It was just counterproductive. Now, we came to the conclusion that the animals had to be unloaded in smaller groups, and that the pedal had to be replaced by, plastic bag or a foam stick, anything that is that cannot be, let's say, abused. And therefore, we implemented that. And as you can see, what used to be a big problem at location B turned out to be hardly a problem anymore. So this is an example of how things change for the better. We have more examples, but obviously we cannot share a lot of those. Does this mean that there are no problems anymore at slaughterhouse? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But once again, our ambition is to reduce avoidable and unnecessary animal suffering through better monitoring. And this is my final slide, and then I'm looking forward to any questions you might have or any feedback. Also here to learn. I know that there are a lot of participants that are real experts in technology, how to handle animals, animal welfare. So if you saw anything that you think we can do better or differently, feel free to share that feedback during the session or afterwards. I think you all have my details, so looking forward to your phone calls and emails. Now, so what is the value according to our clients? Now, one of them is that issues are identified faster. So now we are able to monitor and have alerts real time. So if there's anything that is considered to be time critical, immediately there is a signal, and as a result, you can intervene there and then. And some of the issues that you saw also during the demo are time critical. So an animal, while it's hanging on the rail, should be not making any moves, should not be arching its back or moving its head. Therefore, if that happens, it needs to be addressed immediately. It's fact-based, so you can actually see, how something happens and how often it happens. And all the data tells you how big the problem is or how small, and once again, whether you see improvement or whether things get worse. It's an opportunity for learning, training and improvement. When people are confronted with their own behavior on video, obviously that has an extra impact. It increases awareness and the sense of urgency to do something. So, a lot of the videos that are used and selected by AI4Animals are also used for training to explain this is the right way and this is the wrong way. It allows comparison. It's a great opportunity, in particular for big meat producers, to compare how slaughterhouses are doing. And if one is doing better or worse, you can compare, bring people together and see what they can learn from each other. But I think the biggest value is that this system helps avoid incidents becoming structural issues. Now, we will never develop a system that will address all issues, but it will help to identify them in an early stage before, if they remain to be unchecked and unaddressed, they become structural issues. And if structural issues are not being managed, are not being addressed, then it becomes part of your culture. And we've seen a few examples of that happening in the Netherlands with one slaughterhouse, because of the poor behavior of the employees, actually had to close its doors and sell itself off to a competitor. So that's my presentation. My only question to you is, you've seen the technology. If there is a certain application that you think will further help reduce avoidable animal suffering, let me know. This is the product of collaboration between universities, NGOs, organizations in the meat sector. and we would love to expand that group of organizations. And if you think there's an opportunity to maybe bring this to the US obviously being a big meat producer, let us know. Always happy to team up and see how we can do what we think is the right thing, and that's to apply innovative technology in those last hours of those animals' lives, because anything we can do to reduce suffering is something that we need to do. That was it. That was my presentation. Open to any questions, feedback. Happy to answer any questions you might have.
All right. Thank you, Carlos. I don't know if you can hear, but you got a big round of applause. Thank you so much for your talk. I've known about your work for a while and never expected you to be so accessible and collaborative. So I really thank you for that. And that's really in the spirit of this conference. We're bringing together people from diverse disciplines to all put our heads together to figure out how we can scale technology to better help animals. Can you tell a little bit more about the origin story of how you were able to get a slaughterhouse to share their video footage with you? And what kind of bottlenecks you see to this technology scaling even further, like beyond the 20 plus slaughterhouses?
Well, good question. Yeah, I very vividly remember having the first conversation in our office in Utrecht with a senior representative of a big meat producer, and I told them, we don't know each other, but I would love to have an hour of your video footage, because if we have an hour, we can test out this algorithm and see whether we can automatically identify any potential issues. And you could clearly see him thinking, and we know each other well now, and we're like, shall I give this guy, I don't know, 1 hour of sensitive video footage? And I'm not sure why he decided to go for it, but he said, well, let's test it out. What did help, obviously, that there was also a meat buyer involved. If you want to convince a meat producer, it's always good to involve a meat buyer. It was initially funded. The pilot was funded by the Deloitte Impact Foundation, so there were no additional costs involved for this first pilot. After that, they did invest, and they invested heavily in the system, and then decided to not keep it for themselves, but share it and make sure it was accessible also to their competitors in the market. But I think there was an appetite to explore and experiment. And normally what we see, once they've seen the first results, they go like, oh, wow, I see how this can work. I see how this can really make a bit of a difference. And then obviously, they took it from there. So we would love to further expand. The system is built on scalable technology. So whether it's one slaughterhouse or it's 20, we can easily accommodate for that. Some are intrinsically motivated to create more transparency. Some might find it a little bit more challenging to really, create this level of transparency, because the system can be quite brutal, right? So, you might be aware that you're having a particular issue in how to handle the animals. But do you really want to know how big the problem is? So some might be a bit hesitant, but that's why we love to work with a wider ecosystem. That's why we love to work with NGOs, whether you're more on the welfare side, on the animal rights side. We love to work with universities, and we bring all these organizations together. There is more confidence that is the right way forward. So once again, if you feel there's an organization out there that could benefit from this, let me know. And let's take this to the US. It would be amazing.
All right, thank you. So our first audience question is, who implements these systems? If it's the slaughterhouses themselves, what's their incentive? Because we assume that implementation and training is quite expensive. You had the Deloitte Impact Grant to begin with, but presumably that is limited. And so, can you tell us a little bit more about the plans and logistics for implementation and what the adoption rate for farmers is?
So the implementation is fairly easy. So we use the cameras that slaughterhouses have. There's nothing complex. We don't ask them to replace cameras. Most of them have digital cameras, and that will do the trick. So basically, the only thing we do is attach the algorithm to those cameras through some edge computing and some cloud computing, and then we fine-tune the algorithm. Every slaughterhouse is different, every camera angle is a bit different, sometimes the lighting is different, so it will always require some adjustments of the algorithm, and then it works. So in a matter of weeks, you can have something up and running. Some use 1 or 2 models, and as presented before, some want to use more. So it's just a matter of weeks, months before it's up and running. Obviously, it does require a bit of training, but we do like to keep the dashboard as intuitive as possible for everyone to be able to use it. So in all fairness, it's not a massive effort. I mean, this is a small margin business, right? The meat business. So investments are not always given, but this is not necessarily a super expensive thing. This is not a big money maker for Deloitte. This is something we do because we feel it's the right thing to do. So yeah, it's in all fairness, it's not a massive effort to implement this and start using it. It does require a bit of fine tuning, but then you're there and you can start using it. It is used by the slaughterhouse internally, so there's no supervisory organization, governmental organization that has access to this. They use this for their own benefit because they understand that if they want to avoid bad behavior being part of their culture, they need to address it. They need to address it quickly, and therefore the sooner you spot it, the better it is. So everyone understands this is the right way forward.
So what I'm hearing is that it takes a lot of different players to produce incentives for this technology to be adopted. And one of those incentives is intrinsic motivation to just help animals. And what for the slaughterhouses themselves, like what kind of reception have you gotten when you propose this technology to them?
I mean, it differs very strongly. So there are a few that, don't pick up the phone, so to speak. There are quite a few that approach us actively, say, hey, we heard about this. Can we have a conversation because we think this might be the right way forward for us? There are some that require a bit of convincing. So it's very, very different. In some countries, animal welfare is something that slaughterhouses know is a priority for consumers and food retailers. Therefore, they are also incentivized to do something. In other countries, animal welfare is not necessarily a big consideration. Therefore, they don't feel pushed or nudged by society and the market in order to do that. So the reception is quite differently. But overall, every slaughterhouse that we approached has some interest. Most, are at least willing to listen to our story. And if we bring more partners into the mix, it definitely helps. We also had a conversation with the bank that decided to give slaughterhouses that apply this favorable terms and conditions on their funding on the loans if they use it. So, I mean, once again, it takes a lot of people to make this successful. But now we are at the point where we are open to welcome more organizations into this circle to also start scaling it outside Europe.
Did you say that you were talking to the banks that invest in the slaughterhouses?
Yeah. So there is one bank in the Netherlands that said, this looks like something that is beneficial. It lowers the risk profile of a slaughterhouse. I mean, as I mentioned, a slaughterhouse had to sell itself because the images that were exposed to the general public really were horrendous to look at, and as a result, it had to sell itself off. So also banks are interested to see how can we help, how can we nudge our clients to start using something like this. And once again, it differs per country. So one country might be more motivated to do this given the culture and the importance that it gives to animal welfare. But it's actually happening. Yeah.
That's amazing. That's extremely high leverage. And it actually ties in well with the next question, which is, do you think that there's something special about the animal agriculture industry in the Netherlands that makes this work particularly feasible and otherwise would make it hard to roll out in some place like the US?
I mean, I do not know the US market that well, so I'm more than happy to be educated. But in the Netherlands, there are a few things. One, animal welfare is a topic of importance. Actually, in the Dutch parliament, there is a political party that is called the Political Party for Animals. So it's a topic of importance. What we also see is that there are a number of major animal welfare organizations that have a, let's say, collaborative attitude towards the meat sector. Some obviously are more confrontational, which obviously also serves a purpose. But there are a few of the major ones that understand that if you want to change something, you need to work together with the industry. And the industry accepts that. Not all of them, but most of them accept that. So, and also there's a animal welfare labeling organization. So you get 1 star for lower level of animal welfare, and then 3 stars for more when you're trying to sell your products through supermarkets. So I think what makes it different, it's an important topic, and there are a few major animal welfare organizations that have a, let's say, in speaking terms, have a constructive collaboration with the sector, and as a result, you can bring these ideas to the table, and if they want to team up, they can team up, and this is how this resulted into this particular capability.
Thank you. This next question is a more technical question. Who administers the back end of this system? Is it the slaughterhouse staff themselves, the supervisor, someone from Deloitte?
So we run AI4Animals on our platform, so it's a Deloitte platform, but obviously certain individuals have access to the system at the slaughterhouse. They tend to be the animal welfare officers, they call. So the back office is run by us, but obviously the paying customer has access to all the data for their own slaughterhouse. So it's run on a platform that is supported by Deloitte and our tech partners. So just to be clear, at this point in time, the supervisory organizations, like food and safety type of associations, they do not have access. So it is truly used only by the slaughterhouse, the meat producers themselves. There might be an opportunity, who knows, in the future where data is shared with supervisory organizations in order to make sure that there's more transparency on what goes well, what doesn't go well. But that's not the case at this point in time.
Thank you. The next question. By reducing the number of bottlenecks, are these slaughterhouses able to increase the number of animals killed a day? And have you noticed that any slaughterhouses ended up increasing their throughput after using AI4Animals?
So the number of animals at the slaughterhouses that use AI4Animals do not slaughter more animals because of the system that we use. AI4Animals is not an operational access tool, and although it can be tempting, obviously, to use this technology to improve the operations at slaughterhouses, that's not our purpose, and that's not how we will use it. However, it's a simple conclusion that if you have less bottlenecks, obviously, the flow of the animals through the slaughterhouse is less problematic. That has not resulted in slaughtering more animals. It is a case that a lot of animal handling issues do result in operational problems, as you've seen with bottlenecks. But we have one purpose only, and that's to reduce avoidable and unnecessary animal suffering. Operational excellence is not part of it.
Thank you. We have time for maybe 2 more questions. So this next question, is this technology financially accessible for smaller agriculture systems? And if not, do you anticipate creating a product for those markets?
So, we support slaughterhouses that have multiple companies that have multiple slaughterhouses. We also support individual slaughterhouses. It's sometimes perceived to be a little bit expensive. We try to make it as cheap as possible because we're in the business of sharing this technology, not necessarily turning it into a bit profit maker. But we try to make price not the reason for them not to use it. However, if you're truly a very small slaughterhouse, the implementation and the license fees in order to use it on a monthly basis might be an issue, but we always found a way around it. So if price is the issue, we always try to be as creative as possible to reduce it. Sometimes we succeed, sometimes not. But we hope and we welcome a lot of competitors. I would love to see more tech parties, big and small, be active in this space. I think animal welfare should not only be the realm of NGOs, but also of organizations like Deloitte and others. So if there are companies out there that can do it better and cheaper, let them contact me and I will spill all the secrets. I will share the technology and hopefully they can do a better job than we can. And if they can do it for a lower price point, and they have my blessing.
Thanks again for being so open and collaborative. All right, so the last question is, once these clips are flagged, what happens on the other end at the slaughterhouse? Is it just up to the slaughterhouse to decide how to evaluate this data and how to correct it, or like how hands-on is AI4Animals in like sharing insights and recommendations or even enforcement?
So this is technology that we implement for the meat producers. So it's really up to them to use it and use it in a correct way. Now, having said that, we have weekly, bi-weekly meetings with our clients. And if we see there is a dip in the usage, so if we see that videos are not reviewed, there are any escalations, the workflow is not active, then obviously we have that conversation. So if we feel that they are not using it, we have a conversation, and basically every time management then gives the particular slaughterhouse that is not using it to its full potential a quick phone call, there's a conversation, and then we try to find out what the reason is. Is it the accessibility of the system? Is it too many false positive? And as a result, they go like, I don't want to look at the long list of issues, and then we try to address it. So we do not necessarily give recommendations on how to improve and implement improvement measures, but if we see there's a drop in how they use it, we have a conversation, and if we see they use it 100%, we go like, hey, good for you, well done, we're super proud of you guys. So that's how we try to do it. If you feel the need to ask me any questions, if you want to have a follow-up conversation, if you happen to be this part of the world, do not hesitate to reach out to me. I have an intrinsic passion for all things animal welfare, animal rights. I'm more than happy to tell you my personal story as well. So if there's a need to have a conversation, reach out, send me emails, give me a phone call, let's meet in person. And hopefully we can take this to the next level with your support.
Thank you. All right, everyone give a round of applause for Carlos. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much.